Useless media people in a crisis. Useless. Number one, as I discussed with you yesterday, we will not be beholden to the Chinese overlords right now trying to pass off propaganda through our useful idiots in the media about how this did not originate in China. It is a free speech issue. It is an enormous issue. I have an update later on what we will call from this point on the free speech fight, because that's what it is. I will not capitulate. I know neither you will either. Neither many of you will either. President Trump yesterday was at the White House also and was having none of this nonsense with the media, who again is not only engaging in misfeasance but malfeasance. They are not only not helping in many respects, but actively harming the United States economy, the United States' flow of information back and forth between its population and media representatives. They are also gaslighting many of us. Trump is having none of it. Here is a quick piece of video on tape. President Trump yesterday with an NBC News journalist who's not really helping the situation and basically just nails her to the wall on this because she's trying to not help, but of course playing let's dunk on Trump. Check this out.
You did say a few days ago, though, you did have a sense that this was a pandemic that was coming. So why was the United States not prepared with more testing?
We were very prepared. The only thing we weren't prepared for was the media. The media has not treated it fairly. I'll tell you how prepared I was. I called for a ban from people coming in from China long before anybody thought it was. In fact, it was your network. I believe they called me a racist because I did that. It was many of the people in the room. They called me racist and other words because I did that, because I went so early. So when you say we weren't prepared, had I let these tens of thousands of people come in from China a day, we would have had something right now that would have been, you wouldn't have even recognized it compared to where we are. How many people have passed away? How many people have died as of this moment? You could multiply that by a factor of many, many, many. So when you say that I wasn't prepared, I was the first one to do the ban. Now other countries are following what I did. But the media doesn't acknowledge that. They know it's true. They know it's true, but they don't want to write about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go. Here's the media again. That's Kirsten Welker from NBC, I believe. Kirsten Welker, not asking any kind of a productive question. What are we doing? What's happening now? What are we doing tomorrow? What can we expect? Where can we get to? None of that. She wants to pin the tail on Trump, plays the dunk on Trump game. And what does she want to do? She wants to knock him again for his so-called lack of preparedness, as if anyone on the planet had a crystal ball and could have seen this coming. Anyone. Paul and I were talking about this morning. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody. The only one who acted on it early when he did see some rumblings of how significant a problem this was going to be was Trump, who banned travel from China, which could have saved thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives, and outlets called him, media outlets, a racist for doing so.
Yep.
Even scientists said it was a, quote, overreaction and an emotional solution to a problem. Useless media people in a crisis. Useless. Here's number two. President Trump injecting a bit of his own opinion about the media. I'm sorry, a little bit of, this is hysterical. This is President Trump. He's asked a question about if Congress is responding appropriately to a potential outbreak on Capitol Hill. And President Trump's answer here is pretty priceless. Some of you may have seen this. Check this out.
Members of Congress are now being tested positive for coronavirus, and you have almost 24 who are self-quarantining. Do you have any guidance for Congress? Should they?
I know all of them, and I don't know if they're sitting like you people are sitting. You're actually sitting too close. We should probably get rid of about another 75, 80% of you. I'll have just two or three that I like in this room. I think that's a great way of doing it. We just figured a new way of doing it, but you're actually much too close. You know, you two, you should leave immediately.
I'm sorry. It's just, I'm glad he's not playing their game. You two, you should leave immediately. You should. I got more on this later. Again, don't go anywhere today's show. Believe me, the Obama Fixer segment, this is just under the radar too. Fixer's back. Here's a third video. This is from MSNBC yesterday. I'm front loading a lot of the video, sound on tape, video on tape today. because it's important. This is MSNBC. This is the former Obama era. I believe an emergency manager, Craig Fugate. I think he was the head of FEMA. I'm sorry. I know the name. I've seen him around. But he's on MSNBC, and he makes a valid point that, listen, we can't rely on the federal government to be our nanny in this. This is going to be run operationally at the local and state level with federal support. A perfectly valid point. Donald Trump can't fix everything. He's not a monarch. He's the president of the United States. I think he's doing a great job. He's doing what he can. He's not some, Merlin-like wizard from the Middle Ages who can fix things. He's the president of the United States. He has limitations on his power. So Craig Fugate makes this point. And of course, this is MSNBC. So this is, make no mistake, an effort by MSNBC to pile on here. This is what they do. They want to pile on and make it look like, because there are issues, there's no question there are pipeline issues, there are supply issues, there's no question. Ladies and gentlemen, if it was an emergency, right, and this was normal times, everything would be fine. It's an emergency. There's going to be issues. We have to fix them and play whack-a-mole with these problems as they come up. They want to pile on Trump and make it look like it's his fault. So this MSNBC commentator goes to jump in and attack Fugate, who is clearly had enough of this talking heads nonsense. Check this out.
We have masks. We have a lot of these things. Guess where they are? They're sitting in the supply chain. People are profiteering off of them, or they're going to places where people are hoarding them. Now, that happens in a crisis. It's only by someone looking through the entire system and seeing where those needs are that you can say, stop hoarding them all in Texas. We need them in New York right now while we build manufacturing capability and put them in Texas. So what your other guest is suggesting here is not helpful. We need a great partnership between the federal and state government. People.
Craig, you want to sit down and respond to this? I guess Craig has left. Andy.
We need more of that on MSNBC and CNN. If you missed it because it was low at the end, we have to edit it because of the cuss word there. He says, I don't have any more time for these bull fill-in-the-blank people. Now, as I said to Paula, is he saying, I don't have any time for this bull, comma, people? Or is he saying, I don't have any time for these bull people? I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way,
I took it the first way. Yeah.
I think so too. He's clearly had enough of these frauds out there, not trying to solve the problem again. And listen, the guy's point is not invalid. If there's a bottleneck of respirator masks, he's right. But that's not why they're doing that. This is my point, folks. The point is, again, to try to dunk on Trump on MSNBC.
Right.
That's the only point there.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.